Madhurjvala Premaja Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murte Dinatarine Rupanuga Vidurapasirantadvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Sambodhe Padambojayate Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidanandanamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavadayate Gauravya Bhavabhumestvam Nirjesta Sajjana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatinubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahaviranyaya Namo Mahaviranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishye Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shirada Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Sunato Pangur Mama Mandamate Gati Matsava Swaparambujo Shirada Marana Mohano Divya Brindaranya Kapadrumadha Srimadatnagara Simhastanashto Shri Shri Radha Shri Govinda Devo Preshtani Bisevimano Smarami Shiva Rasarasurambi Vamshiva Tatatashitaha Karshan Venu Swanir Gopir Gopinatna Shriestuna Vrindaye Tulasi Devyaye Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatya Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Page 23. Krishna hoite chato mukha Hoya Krishna sevan mukha Brahma hoite nara Dera Mahati Narada hoite Vyasa Madhva he Vyasa Dasa Purna Pragna Panmana Bhagavati Nihari Madhava Vamshe Akshobhya Paramahamse Shishaboliyangi Karako Hore Akshobhyera Shishya Jaya Tirtanami Parijaya Tadadase Gyana Sindhu Hore Taha hoite doya nidhi Tadadasya vidya nidhi Rajendra hoilo taha hoite Tahara kinkara jaya Dharmanami parichaya Parampara jana mahate Jaya dhamma dasya kyati Shri Purushottama jati Tahoite Brahmanya Tirtha Sohari Vasati Tatara Dasa Lakshmi Pati Vyasa Dasa Taha Hoite Madhavendra Puri Madhavendra Puri Vada Shisha Vada Shri Ishvara Nityananda Shri Advaita Vibhu Ishvara Puri Kedanya Kauridanya Shri Chaitanya Jagaguru Gaura Mahaprabhu Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahiyanya Rupanuga Janira Jivana Vishwambara Priyankara Shri Swarupa Damodara Shri Goswami Rupa Sanatana Rupa Priya Mahajana Jiva Raghunatha Hana Tana Priya Kavi Krishna Dasa Krishna Dasa Priya Vada Narottama Seva Pada Janapada Vishwanatha Asha Vishwanatha Bhakta Sata Baladeva Jagannatha Tana Priya Shri Bhakti Vinoda Mahabhagavata Vada Shri Goda Kishora Vada Hari Bhajan Nette Jara Mohoda Shri Vaishava Navi Vada Surya Sevya Seva Pada Tara Daita Dasanama Prabhupada Antaranga Shri Swarupa Rupanuga Shri Keshava Bhakti Pragyahana Gaudiya Vedanta Veta Maya Vado Tamohanta Gaudavani Prachara Chadama Prachariram Gaudavani Bhakanti Vedanta Swami Purliram Prabhupada Kama Keshapriya Mahajana Vamanana Dayanhana Tare Pranadahana Esava Harijana Gorangana Nijanjana Tarera Uchiste Morakama Guru Parampara 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 Guru Parampara. Page 36. Vrindavana Vasijato Vaishnavera Gahana Pratame Vandana Kori Sabara Charahana Nilachala Vasijato Mahaprabhu Gana Bhumite Bodhiyavando Sabara Charana Navadvipa Vasijato Mahaprabhu Bhakta Sabara Charana Vando Hoyanurahakta Mahaprabhu Bhakta Yato Goda Deshe Stiti Sabara Charana Vando Koriya Pranohati Jedeshe Baise Godangeda Gahana Ud Baba Kori Vando Sabara Charana Hoyachena Hoy Bena Mahavdrato Dasa Sabara Charana Vando Dante Korigasha Brahmandata Dite Shakti Dare Jane Jane Evera Purane Guna Gaya Jebashune Mahaprabhu Gana sabapatita pavana, tai lobi mui papido inusharana, sandana kodite mui kato shakti dori, tamo buri doshe mui damba matra kori, tatapi mukera bhagya manera ulasha, dokshak shami moandame kodo nija dasa, sava vancha siri hoy yama banda chute, chagate dondaba hoy prema dana lute, manera vasana puna, achirate hoya, devaki nandana dasa, elo bekoya, jayo Vaishnav Thakur jayo, 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 Vaishnav Thakur. Page 200. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauda Bhakta Brinda Vande Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivedaya Kori Swaparshada Sviyadama Sahavatari Atyanta Dulabha Prema Gauri Baridana Shikaya Sharanagati Bakatera Prana Danya Atmani Vedana Gomtrip Vevarana Avashadakshi Be Krishna Vishvasapalana Bhakti Anukula Matra Gayera Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Vajanangikara Sharanga Sharanagati Oi Bejara Tara Pratana Shune Shinanda Kumara Rupasanatana Pade Dante Trinakori Bhakati Vinoda Pade Dupada Dori Kandiya Kandiya Bone Amita Dhamma Shikaye Sharanagati Garahe Utama Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Gauda Hari Swaparshada Jaya Gauda Hari Jaya Swaparshada Jaya Gauda Hari Jaya Swaparshada Jaya Gauda Hari. Gurnitai.
I know. Boy, better get home. Imona durmati samsara vitare poriya chinu ami. Ami Tavani Jajana Kona Mahajane Pataya Dile to me. Toya Kori More Patita Dekia Kahilo Amaregia. 66. Oedina Jana Shunavalo Kata Ulasita Habehia. Ulasita Habehia. Tomara Tarite Shri Krishna Chaitanya Navadvipe Avatara. Tomaheno kato dinahina jane korilena bhavapada. Vedera pratigya rakibara tore rukmavana viprasuta. Mahaprabhu Name Nadia Mataya Sange Bhaya Vadhuta. Nanda Sutta Jini Chaitanya Gosai Nijanama Koridana. Torilo Jagata Tumiyo Jaya Laho Nija Paritrana. Sekata Shunya Siyajinata Tomara Charanatale. Bakati Vinoda Kandiya Kandiya Apana Kaini Bole. Ole Mona Durmati Samsara Vitare Poriya Chinu Ami. Tavani Jajana Kono Mahajane Patiaya Dile to me. Jaya Nitai Jaya Gaur Jaya Nitai Jaya Gaur. Jaya Gaur Jaya Nityananda Jaya Gaura Chandra Nityananda Jaya Gaura Chandra. Do you need the English for that? Saveshwara Rajendra Kumar Tomara Ichaya Vishwe Shrejana Sanghara Tume Saveshwara Saveshwara Tume Saveshwareshwara Rajendra Kumara Tomara Ichaya Vishwe Shrejana Sanghara Tavahi chamato brahma karena shrajana brahma Tavahi chamato Vishnu karena palana Tavai chamate Shiva karana sanghara Tavai chamate Maya Shrije Karagara Tavai chamate Jiver Javan Janamamarana Ate Jiver Samridhi Nipata Dukha Shuka Samghatana Miche Maya Patha Jiva Asapashe Phire Tavai chabina kecho karite na pare Tume to rakshaka yara palaka amara
Swareshwara Rajendra Kumara Tomara Ichaye Vishwe Srijana Sanghara. Jaya Vrajendra Kumar Vrajendra. Oh. Bhakati Vinoda Yati Dinaya Kincha. Tomara ichaya tara jivana marana mara. Tumi Sarveshwareshwara Rajendra Kumara Tomare Chaya Vishwe Srijana Sanghara. Jaya Vrajendra Kumar Vrajendra Kumar Vrajendra Kumar Jaya Vrajendra Kumar. Srila Bhakti Vinod Jaya Bhakti Vinod Bhakti Vinod Jaya Bhakti Vinod. O youthful son of the king of Raj, you are the Lord of all lords. In accord with your will, universal creation and destruction take place. In accord with your will, Lord Brahma creates, and in accord with your will, the Lord Vishnu maintains. In accord with your will, Lord Shiva destroys, and in accord with your will, Maya Devi constructs the prison house of this world. In accord with your will, the living beings take birth and die, and in accord with your will, they meet with prosperity and ruin, happiness and sorrow. The living being bound by illusory Maya simply wanders hither and thither. Without your will, he cannot accomplish anything. You are my only protector and maintainer. Except for your lotus feet, there is no hope for me. Having given up faith in my own strength and endeavors, I am solely dependent upon your will. Bhakti Vinod is very lowly and poor. According to your will, he lives and dies. Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai.
112. Yeah. Vrishabhanusuta Charana Sevane Hoiba He Payadasi Vrishabhanusuta Charana Sevane Hoiba He Payadasi Vrishabhanusuta Charana Sevane Oiva 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 He Payadasi Shri Radha Rasukha Satata sadhane rahibo ami prayasi Rasuk Satata sadhane ami prayasi Shri Radha Rasuke Krishna Rajesu Joy Bhamane Tayami Shri Radha Rasuke Krishna Rajesu Joy Bhamane Tayami Radha Padachari Shri Krishna Sangame Kabu na hoibe kami Radha Krishna Sangame Kabu na yami Vrishabhanusuta Charana Sevane Hoiba He Payadasi Vrishabhanusuta Nevane Hoiba He Payadasi Saki Gana Mama Parama Suhrita Jugala Premera Guru Taranugaye Sevi Borada Charana Kalpataru Sevi Borada Charana Kalpataru O Vrishabhanusuta Charana Sevane Oiva He Payadasi Vrishabhanusuta Charana Sevane Oiva He Payadasi Radha Pakshachari Je jane se jana he bhave se bhave take Je jana se jana he bhave se bhave take Amito Radhika Pakshipati Sara Kabhi nahi herita ke Ramito Radhika Pakshipati Sara Kabhi nahi herita ke O Vrishabhanu Sutta Charana Sevane Oi Boe Payadasi Vrishabhanu Sutta Charana Sevane Oi Boe Payadasi Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri To serve the lotus feet of the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, I shall become her Palyadasi, affectionately sheltered maidservant, and strive to constantly bring her all happiness. I shall know within my heart that Sri Krishna takes pleasure in Sri Radha's happiness, and so I shall never desire to abandon her lotus feet and to enjoy separately with Sri Krishna. The Sakhis are my supreme well-wishers and my gurus regarding the loving affairs of the divine couple. Remaining faithfully under their guidance, I shall serve Sri Radha's lotus feet, which are like wish-fulfilling trees. Let anyone aside from Sri Radha's party be as they are. I am indeed always partial to Srimati Radhika and never look upon those who are not. Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Shri Vrishabhanu Nandini Srimati Radhika ki jai.
Agyanam timirandasya Gyananjana salakaya Chaksurunmilitam yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Twadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadavaktaya Namo Namah. Yang Pravajanta Manupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Viraga Tarua Juhava Putre Ditanmayataya Taravo Benidos Tang Sarvabhutaridayam Muni Manatosmi Bhaktya Vinay Aparada Lakshay Chaktasya Kamadi Tarangamadye Kripamaitvam Sharanam Prapadyam Prinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tavoivasmi Narjivami Tambina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tam Naimam Charanantike Kripayati Adiradha Padida Sheshabadha Kimapura Vishishtam Pushti Maryadiyorme Yadi Valati Jaginchit Smera Soditashir Dvijavaramani Panktya Mukti Shaktya Tadakim Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekhar Smera Samurali Manohar Radhikara Sikamam Kripanite Swapriya Charanakin Kari Kuru Prananatha Vishabhanu Nandini Sri Magabjara Salola Satapada Radhika Paratale Kritastitim Swan Bhajami Rasikendra Shekh Sambhadaya Rasinam Trabam Bibo Prartaye Brajamahendrana Astu Mohan Tavati Ballava Janma Janmani Madhishwari. Is it possible to make it louder? I have a ridiculous voice here. First, I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta, Om Vishnupad, Astotra Sachi Shrimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudevs, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Astotra Sachi Shrimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Sometimes we think that, okay, I'll wait till this part is over and then I'll start listening. But actually this part is very important because they're names of our Guru Varga who, just by remembering them, we make advancement. They give us, because they're actually there in their name, they personally give us advancement. And Sri Srimad Bhakti began Bharati Goswami Maharaj to our grandfather gurus. Sri Srimad Bhakti began Keshava Goswami Maharaj and Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. If you yawn in the temple, that's one of the items of not doing, then we cover our mouth. I keep interrupting myself. to Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, to all of his divine associates, and to all the assembled devotees. And the assembled devotees, Diksha Gurus, who are my Shiksha Gurus, Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Madhav Maharaj, Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Ban Maharaj, and Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. And here we are today. Where are we? In the material world, yearning to get out. If we're not yearning, forget it. We're not going to get there. So Haridas Prabhu had some important questions. Yesterday I didn't answer them because we were trying to finish up the Hare Panchami chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. But before going back to Srimad Bhagavatam, or whatever Vidura will bless us with tomorrow, he's going to take that opportunity to ask those questions. It's from Swarup of the Jiva, which he's very diligently reading.
The question is from page 74 and 75, the section titled, "What does awarded mean?" Or so what really happened? And so this, give everybody the backstory. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, verse 28, it states, Pujamane, let me just read the actual verse. Prayujamane maitam shudham bhagavatim tanum. It's the first half of the verse. And it says that Sri Narad Muni was awarded his spiritual body. And so there's a lot of conversation about what awarded means. And
do you know what the name of the chapter is?
In awarded means manifested. So there's a lot of, the thing that I get confused about in this what really happened section is that, so it says that he quit his material body.
Actually, if you go to that verse in the Bhagavatam, you'll find the word-for-word meanings. So what is the Sanskrit for maybe, maybe not? That'll help us. Unless somebody could just find it on their phone. Well, if I understand the Sanskrit, I can say whether it is helpful. It's 1:628. Prabhujamani. Oh, you found it. He found it already. He's fast. Yeah. All right, so. Prabhujamani. Awarded. I do not know the Sanskrit. Prayujamani, I never heard it before. Not in relation to this verse, so. Can't help there.
Well, Srila Gurudev speaks about it in
No, he
page
speaks
72.
about it. But I just wanted to see if the Sanskrit was helpful.
Oh, okay.
For example, if it said prakashit, that means manifested. But no. Anyway, yeah, you're going to share with us what Gurudev says about it.
Oh, okay. Well, so Gurudev says that here, prayujamane. I'll even go back a little bit. So
This is very interesting. It's very Siddhantic, it's very scholarly. You may consider it dry, but it's essential to know this tattva.
So Srila Gurudev says, Prayujamane, after having been awarded the body of an eternal associate, Narada's body made of 5 elements was dissolved. And so this chapter is also speaking to what seems to be apparent contradictions between the words of Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Jiva Goswami wrote in the Priti Sandarbha in Anucheta 10 that in relation to Salokya Mukti, that there are unlimited spiritual bodies of associates in the Vaikuntha planets that have manifested from the effulgence of Bhagavan. And these spiritual bodies are waiting to be occupied by the living entities who have become perfect by sadhan bhajan. So this sounds like what we hear, that, oh, there's like these cars waiting to be driven. There's literally just a body there that then our soul will enter into. And Srila Gurudev is going to go into how that's not the case. What seems to be an apparent contradiction is that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words are that
Have you read, during this search, have you read Baladev Vijayabhushan Prabhu's commentary?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I mean, in the chapter 3.
Yeah, but I can't speak to it right now very well. I was pretty much prepared just to ask the questions, so that's why I'm kind of now floating back and forth. I wasn't like really prepared to actually speak about the backstory. But I mean, it's important, so it's not just random question. But I don't actually. This part doesn't seem really totally necessary for the question, because the question's more about how, in the explanation, it talks about whether or not Narad left his body and what actually happened. So there's like, how did Narad quit his body? And Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur explains that, hold on, let me actually just go back to my notes. So it says that he quit his material body, but actually, it's at the 5-element bhav, the bhav of being of this 5-element body, the pancho. Let me find the exact word.
Panchabhoti.
Panchabhotika bhav was previously in his heart was completely destroyed. And we read in the footnotes from Srila Prabhupada and from Srila Gurudev that.
Is everybody following so far? Or is anybody lost?
I mean,
What's the context of Narad leaving his body?
He died. Well, he left it was the time. The time came for him to leave his body. He attained Bhav Bhakti by his meditation and chanting. The Lord appeared to him, and then he disappeared. And then Narada cried, and he couldn't get the vision back. So the Lord appeared to him in an aerial voice. He said, for the rest of this body, you won't be able to see me because you're not ready. So you've attained Swarup Siddhi, which means Bhav Bhakti, but it's not enough. So I'm going to be disappeared from you until you leave, until the time comes for you to leave your body, and then you'll get a spiritual body that you'll see me forever.
and so
now that time has come.
yeah, and so it says that time at the stage, so now the time has come, and that the body that he had as a sadhak, so that his pancha bhautika body was removed, meaning the
What's
five,
Pancha? Yeah.
the body made of 5 elements.
Pancha, 5 Bhautika elements.
And we hear from Srila Gurudev that this statement, the body of 5 elements was removed, means that the bhav of having a body with 5 elements that was previously within his heart was removed. And thus his spiritual body was fully manifest. So actually now I think I'm somewhat understanding. So because I was very confused reading in the purports how this, in Srila Prabhupada's purport, he says that, therefore, change of the body means stoppage of the reaction of 3 qualitative modes of material nature upon the pure devotee. So it sounds like they don't actually lose their body, they just lose the bhav of having a body and the bhav of the gunamayi. Later in the next we'll hear from Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, there's the gunamayi bhav which is having a body made of 5 of the gunas that's removed. And in Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport, he says, since we do not, so we hear how that a person who just chants the holy name once will immediately give up their body. But he says, since we do not see anyone giving up their body simultaneously with chanting, body here means his prarabdha karmas, which are experienced in his present body. Then he says, this is the opinion of some. Others say, by the association of bhakti, like a touchstone, the body made of 3 gunas becomes free of the gunas, as seen in the case of Dhruva. Thus, giving up the body means giving up the body of 3 gunas. So, it's unclear, to me at least, it's unclear if he means that giving up the body means giving up prarabdha karma, which it seems like not, because we hear that all of one's prarabdha
This
karma is
body is
dissolved.
made of prarabdha karma. What's prarabdha karma?
The karma from one's past activities.
That are now being manifest in the form of this body. Oh, I just hurt myself. That's karma. Because the body's already there and it's made of this prarabdha karma that's happening in this body. Oh, that was great. The happy karma and the sad karma are all prearranged in this body. So that's what it's made of. Okay. And then there's aparabdha karma, which is going to happen later in the next life.
Well, and it seems like it can't be talking about leaving, or I don't know if it does. If changing his body means losing his prarabdha karma, that seems off, because we hear in Madhurya Kadambini that when one's in the stage of anartha vritti, that cleanses all one's prarabdha karma. So then,
To a certain extent.
I guess then what conclusion is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur making?
Well, first, in order to answer that question, I'll ask you a question, which is to explain what happened with the gopis. Because sometimes it says, well, it does say in the Bhagavatam, that they gave up their bodies and joined the rasa dance.
Srila Gurudev's commentary is that none of these gopis died. If they had died, it would have been most inauspicious. They do not have a gunamaya body to leave behind. Rather, their gunamaya, not gunamaya, but gunamaya, bhav was removed. Similar to the pancha, he says the same is true for Narada. The pancha bhautika bhav that was previously in his heart was completely destroyed.
So do you get any sense of similarity here? There's Dhruva, maybe he mentions Prahlad, the gopis, and Narada.
I guess I do. The question that starts coming, though, is this just talking about what happens to pure devotees but not about sadhan, those who are in the stage of sadhan, or not in the stage of sadhan, but those who are bada jeevs practicing sadhan? Meaning this only applies to pure devotees. Does it not apply to bada jeevs?
It would seem so, because if a bada jeev means a conditioned soul who's still wrapped up in the body, when he leaves his body, he doesn't get a vastu siddhi spiritual body. He's just moving on. He's moving on up or he's moving on down. So this body is really made of pus, blood, stool, and urine. By the time you, Haridas, get to Bob, I don't know how many millions of eons that's going to be, you're going to have a different kind of body than you have now. It's going to be a completely different set of what happens when you leave it.
I think I asked my question wrong. I meant then, does this apply to those who are sadhan siddhi? Does this only apply to those who are nitya siddhas, or does this also apply to those who are achieving perfection through sadhan?
How could it apply to nitya siddhas when they're nitya siddha?
Well, but Narad Muni is a nitya siddha, but
He's playing the role of someone who's not.
and that's what's confusing here is, are we taking this to be, this is what happens to a person who is, he's doing this solely for our, for the Sadhan Siddhas
Because
to
he's
learn?
already modern Mongol. He's already eternally Narada Muni, who associates with Mother Yasoda and Lord Ram and things. So it's described, I forget which canto, maybe 9, that a portion of him is doing this pastime, like he was cursed to be a dancer or singer in the heavenly planets, and then he was associating with ladies there, and then he was cursed to become the son of a maidservant. So these are all for our benefit.
So then this is like the process that would be seen by a person entering into Sadhan city. Like by a Badajiv that has become a Sada city.
A
So-
Bada Jiva, like how many births it's going to take, for me, I can't even calculate. I don't think there's a number. So then whenever that happens, that I'm in Bhav Bhakti, then, because this body, material body, cannot tolerate prem, it would burst. So at that time, one quits this body and enters into any of the planets where Krishna is performing his Leela in any of the universes. And then he gets a body that's the beginning of Vastu Siddhi, the beginning of his spiritual body, or Siddha Sarir, Siddha Deha, spiritual body. And he gets birth from the womb of a gopi. Why would it be a gopi that he's taking birth from? Why not somebody else? You can't answer that?
Well, how's it not going to take birth from a Gopa?
Exactly. So he takes birth from whatever he's going to be, even if he's going to be a gopa, he takes birth from the womb of a gopi. And then he associates with Nitya Siddhas, who are of the same constitutional position. And then he perfects his Vastu Siddhi.
Then Srila Prabhupada's purport becomes confusing again because he says, Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj and many other devotees were able to see the personality of Godhead face to face, apparently in the same body. This means that the quality of a devotee's body changes from material to transcendence.
Right.
So,
That's for Dhruva, who got such a high state that he got such powers as a sadhak that when he controlled his breathing, because the Lord, he was meditating on the Lord in his heart, the whole universe couldn't breathe. Like he was taking a breath every 12 days or so. The whole universe became choked up. So the demigods went to Brahma and said, do something, or we'll all die. So then the Lord, from within his heart, came out of his heart. He also became so heavy, because he was meditating on the Lord in his heart, that he was standing on only one foot, so that foot pressed down the earth. And Prabhupada gives the analogy there that if you're on an airplane, you're the same, just person. But because you're on the airplane, you're traveling like 2,000 miles an hour. It's not your power, but because you're connected with the airplane, you get that power. Same thing when someone is absorbed in the Lord within his heart. He gets that power. Did I answer your question? I forgot what your question is already.
the
Dhruva and
challenge though is
Prahlad.
we're talking about the change of body when one quits one's body, what seems like what I'm struggling
Right,
with
thanks.
is on one.
Right, so Dhruva, his body changed, and then the Lord, because he was so absorbed, First, he started meditating because he wanted a kingdom greater than his father, and like his father on the whole earth, and greater than Brahma. He wanted to be the king of an abode that was greater than Brahma's. So he started out with a impure motive, but then as he was absorbed in meditation, then he got purified so he could see the Lord face to face. Same thing with Prahlad. He didn't have an ordinary body. It looked like an ordinary body, and he was the son of his father Hiranyakashipu. But his father, threw him in a pot of boiling oil and threw him in the fire with his auntie and threw him off a cliff. But he couldn't die because he didn't have an ordinary material body. So apparently the self-same body meant they didn't have ordinary bodies. So you are correct that this does apply to special personalities and not everybody.
So,
Atul has, I think, a suggestion. Or a question.
Well, a clarification. Just to be clear, Dhruva Maharaj and or Prahlad Maharaj, were they Sadhan Siddhas?
At the time,
Or just, meaning they were at one point bound
see what
and they
you mean.
became Siddha through sadhana?
according to the 7th canto, Prahlad is Nitya Siddha and Sadhan Siddha because he played the role of Sadhan Siddha, but he's also Nitya Siddha.
And Dhruva Maharaj.
And Dhruva, I don't actually know, which is among the many things I don't know.
I guess, but
I
if,
could ask Maharaj, though, if you remind me. Otherwise, I forget.
but if their pastimes are not then applicable in relation to what happened with Narad, why would Srila Prabhupada bring it up in the purport?
Because as Narada was advancing, he was playing the role. This is a partial manifestation of the original Narada, playing the role of a person gradually advancing. So now, when he went to the forest, he was so detached just from eating the remnants from the 4 Kumaras and associating with them that he just wanted to get rid of the obstacles so he could leave home. So then his mother was killed by a snake bite, and then he just looked at her once and then left. He had absolutely no attachment. And then imagine a 5-year-old going into the forest, how advanced he already was. And then he meditated for many, many, many years, maybe thousands, and then he saw Lord Vishnu weeping, and the Lord spoke to him, and then he disappeared, and then Narada couldn't get him back yet, and then the aerial voice of the Lord said, "This is why, because you need to get more purification. So go around the whole earth, wandering everywhere and chanting my glories, and then when you leave the body," what a long trip it is, isn't it? That's why we're going to really lament when we get so old that we can't function, and then come to our death and we didn't take advantage of all this time. Getting involved with lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy. What a waste of time. Material pursuits, name, fame, fortune. And then we didn't do what we were supposed to do to get to the goal. How much grief we're going to have. Like you see in the kirtans of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. As I think that was a song we did yesterday, that this body is a perversion of consciousness, and I try to get rid of the perversion, but the perversion doesn't go, my life goes instead. We think it's never going to happen, but it's going to happen.
I think
Was your question answered? Yeah. Okay.
it's
See, already see now I can't even remember the question that I was attempting to answer.
So then just so that I can maybe I'll just repeat what I'm
Oh, hey, I
understanding.
got an answer to your desire to understand. Let me go there. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, so Gurudev says, I have now explained the truth, but you will not understand it or have any realization of it without deeply studying and without sadhan bhajan. Are you doing sadhan bhajan? Okay, so that's why. Especially this understanding and realization comes by Guru Kripa. Sadhan, bhajan, and Guru Kripa. But I also wanted to read something that's in this chapter, but Gurudev is quoting Jaiva Dharma. Ki Jai. All right. So Srila Prabhupada writes, very, very important. Now, this point must be presented. All right, because we have the word prayujamani, awarded. So, therefore, you need a pure devotee to explain any word. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a word yoga. Prabhupada writes in this purport, yoga means bhakti yoga here. How could you know that? So here, on page 71, the word is prayujamani. What is awarded? The question arises. In that world, he's questioning Jiva Goswami's statement that in the Vaikuntha planets, there's a bunch of bodies that come out of the effulgence of the Lord, like he said, like parked cars or coats hanging in a closet. So many bodies come, and they are near, what's the word? Near Jiva, which means they're there, but they're not quite conscious. Near Jiva, they're kind of inactive, like a parked car. So they're waiting for the Jiva to do sadhan in this world. And then, when he becomes perfect in sadhan, then Krishna connects the two things, the parked car and the person who's now qualified to drive it. So there's two things, the Jiva and the spiritual body. So this is what is absolutely not true. Our Swarup, our spiritual body, is non-different from us. It's just covered right now. It's in a dormant state. So, said what? He didn't use that analogy. Gurudev did. He just says, in Vaikuntha there are unlimited spiritual forms, which are all Jyotir Amsabhuta, forms that have emanated from the effulgence of the form of the Supreme Lord. When a devotee becomes liberated, then the Lord makes that soul one with one of those unlimited forms. How to understand that is not possible without the help of the pure devotee.
You said near Jiva or without a Jiva. Is that
Not without a Jiva means without inactive. Even Jiva has many meanings. Near Jiva, it doesn't mean without a Jiva, it means without action. Inactive, like a parked car. We really need pure devotees. So, how do we reconcile this with Srila Jiva Goswami's statement? This means all of our Goswamis, Baladev Vijayabhusan, which I'll read his commentary on Vedanta Sutra, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, everybody, including Jiva Goswami, but it appears that Jiva Goswami was different. And that's why so-called commentators on this understanding who say that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is wrong, Baladev Bijabhusan wasn't right. They're all just offenders. So all the Goswamis, nobody understands Jiva Goswami except me. All of our Goswamis have written in this way, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which is that we have a swarup even now in our conditioned state, but it's dormant and it's covered by Maya. When it's not dormant, when it's actually in full bloom, it cannot be covered by Maya. But as a seed, it can be covered. For example, in Baladev Vidibhusan Prabhu's commentary of Vedanta Sutra called Govinda Bhasya, he has explained the same way that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained. In the Jiva Swarup, everything is Chinmoy, everything is transcendental. Jiva Swarup means the Jiva's real form, so it can't be different from the Jiva. Chinmoy, transcendental and eternal. Even now it is eternal in the form of potency. Like the tree is already there in the seed of that tree, but in potency. You can't see it, but an expert gardener can see it. The particular bhav of serving Krishna in the jiva's perfected or siddha form is available in that seed in the form of potency. So now Gurudev is asking, how do we reconcile this with Srila Jiva Goswami's statement? Srila Jiva Goswami seems to say that there is a body of an associate in that spiritual world. Our Swarup is of the spiritual world. That's a fact. That's why Jiva Goswami is saying it. But that's not what he means, what he apparently means. Am I clear? Okay. Not really. No, we can understand it a little intellectually. But to really understand it, I know intellectually it's clear. I mean, any person who's not envious, because you're not envious, you can understand it. At the same time, I'll read it later. In Jaiva Dharma, I'll read it later, about in Jaiva Dharma, the Guru says to the disciple, don't question about this too much. Perform sadhan bhaja, and by this you will receive Bhagavan's mercy, and realization will come. So that's what it means, that we really don't understand it, because understand means to realize. Like when I first met Gurudev, I said, so I understand the philosophy intellectually. I give classes all over the world, but I don't have any experience of what I'm saying. So Gurudev said, intellectual understanding is no understanding. He said other things, but that's not relevant right now. So how do we reconcile the two statements? Because you have Jiva Goswami's Vaikuntha forms and the Jiva in this world, and then you have Bhaktivinoda Thakur and everybody else. So there is a body of an associate in the spiritual world, and when the Jiva attains Siddhi, both merge. Then he can do service. Before that, he's unable to do any kind of service. So how will we be able to reconcile that? So in this, the question arises. So our Swarup is of that world. But even if a pure devotee speaks, even if Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, we can't understand it with our material senses. In this, the question arises, which I told you already get. In that world, the Jiva Swarup is being saved for him, while he's still doing sadhana. The Sarup is here, and the Sarup is of a parikar, which is there. The Sarup which is here, and the Sarup which is of a parikar, which is there, will be different. The Goswamis are saying that in the Jiva Swarup everything is present. So how can we reconcile Srila Jiva Goswami's statement with what our other Goswamis are saying? Prayujamani, what is awarded? What two things mix? Two things do mix, but what are the two things that mix? Right, Guru Kripa or Bhagavan Kripa and Sadhan, those two things mix. Like with Mother Yasoda trying to bind Krishna, she was working hard, she was changing colors, red, yellow, sweating, determined. If I have to fast forever, I'm going to bind my son. He needs it. And then when Krishna finally agreed to be bound, then he was bound. So what two things mix? Bhagavan's kripa and Guru's kripa is one thing that is awarded. You're awarded that. That's what's awarded. Merely performing thousands of sadhana activities will not do. However, when the two meet, the hard work of sadhana and Guru's kripa, one is awarded a parikar body. In that way it's awarded. Now this point must be presented. Material language, not only is our material senses an obstacle in understanding what Krishna says in the Gita or what Jiva Goswami says, but material language is incompetent or unable to comprehend or express spiritual matters. It fails. What fails? Material language. There will always be some fault. Some kind of fault will be there, even when Srila Jiva Goswami speaks, or Bhagavan himself, or whoever speaks. When they speak, those who are from that spiritual world will understand. But conditioned souls, persons from the spiritual world, will not be able, from this material world, will not be able to comprehend. There'll be some defect in comprehension. Even when we utter the word tatastha, marginal, which is a Sanskrit word, there will be some defect. If we say, here, get this, if we say that Krishna performed his pastimes, does this mean that his pastimes were not being performed before that time? 5,000 years ago, Krishna performed his pastimes. There is some impurity in mundane language. Only by sadhana is one able to understand the experience of any topic. Okay, yeah. Do you want to say anything else, Haridas Prabhu? Prayujamani. Here the mercy of Bhagavan, along with the sadhana of the jiva combine. When they both combine, the parikar swarup, in other words, the siddha swarup, or siddha deha, is manifested, or awarded, you could say either way, and realized, not before. Wow, I haven't even realized who I am. When people ask me, how are you doing? I can't say. When I realize who I am, I can tell you how I am. Not before Bhav will we be able to understand anything. So this occurs at the stage of Bhav, and this is what is known as prayujamani. So you're hearing from the pure devotee, advanced, and then at the time of Bhav, the, what's that spiritual energy called? Swarup Shakti descends from the heart of the realized soul to the disciple. And at that time he realizes himself, and his Swarup is manifest. Nitya Siddhas is a very important verse to learn. Nitya Siddhas Chabhavasya Prakritam Hridi Sadhyata. How do you start that? Huh? No, that's not the beginning. Oh man, I wish I could remember it. Anybody remember it? Very important verse. Gurudev used to call on devotees a lot to speak it. But all these verses, Sujasattva Visheshatma, Nistya Siddhas Chabhavasya, Kriti Sadhya Bhaveta Sadhya, Sadhana, what is it? Kritya Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya, Bhava Sa, Sadhana, Hrida, Sadhana Bida. Then Nitya Siddhas Chabhavascha Prakritam Hridi Sadhyata. What is the meaning? Forgot. Okay. I think Vasanti sent her some photos yesterday. Check with her. Maybe she was just working on it yesterday. How do you start it? Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Sadhan Bhavasa Sadhana Bida Nitya Siddhas Chabhavascha Prakritam Hridi Sadhyata. We find it in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, in Mahaprabhu speaking to Sanatana Goswami. Bhava Bhakti is potentially there, or prem lives in the jiva, but in an unmanifested state. It's not dependent on anything external. That's not the meaning of this particular verse, though. When the jiva engages all of his senses and mind and tongue in the 9 processes of devotional service, then bhav, which is the potentiality living in the jiva eternally, that becomes manifested in the heart. Did I miss anything? Okay. So all these verses we want to learn, and we'll have a test on it in the next class, and I'll be tested too. All right, I think it's time. Are you satisfied? What's your name again?
Like what I'm understanding then from my question is that everything that we saw with Narad and the gopis is an example for sadhans who are progressing from sadhan city into vastu city, into prem, and they're doing it though as
They're just on the borderline,
right.
or they're doing it for us.
But then I was understanding that what happened, like the cases of Dhruva and Prahlad, don't apply.
No, Prahlad Maharaj is playing the role of a sadhan siddha, but he's actually nitya siddha too. And even in the self-same body, Krishna caught him when he was falling off the cliff. Krishna made the fire of Holika cool like ice. He didn't have an ordinary body, although it appears that he saw the Lord in the self-same body. But his self-same body was not ordinary. Same with Dhruva.
So, I was reading that in the definition of Swarup City, it's that the Swarup City, it becomes manifest. That the
Swarup
one Swarup
City
becomes manifest.
means that you're just on the borderline. You're in mature bhav and you're just about to enter into prem.
What manifest? Like I guess I was
When
thinking,
Siddhadeha manifests.
but that's different. But that's different than the Vastu City, because the Vastu City is the actual.
That's
transcendental.
Vastu City, the Siddhadeha.
So what I'm understanding then is that our nature is our nature has manifest, but the actual body for that hasn't fully developed.
What?
I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to understand what's the difference between the Siddha Deha and the Vastu City.
Same thing.
But then, so there's no difference between the Swarup City and the Vastu City?
Swarup City means going in the mature state of bhav just before entering into prem. But I think you're confusing Swarup City with Siddha Swarup.
No, that was confusing. It was confusing. They were both in there, but I
The
actually
Siddha
do.
Swarup is the Siddha Deha, and the Swarup City means mature bhav, just about going to enter prem. But don't question any further. I'm just reading Jivadharma.
Yeah, no, I just don't want to
I'm not
because
saying
I
don't
realize
question.
that if it's not is somewhat resolved, then later have to try to
Is
you
it
know?
sort of resolved as much as it can be with the intelligence that you have, with your material intelligence?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, isn't there quite a bit of understanding given in Srila Gurudev's Madhurya Kadambini
Yes.
commentary?
Yes.
Uh,
Maybe you could
like
show him
maybe
where.
More like so many pages are there.
On what?
Oh, just about all these things that he's.
Can you find it and show him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. No.
So Krishna is Sarveshwareshwara. He can create universes in the next second, destroy them, and then make them again. So why do we see such an extensive journey and process for the jivas, the bada jivas? Even we see in our relative sense those jivas trying to come into Krishna consciousness, struggling so much with the
Struggling.
desire to enjoy, yet attempting to chant. So why do we see such a long journey?
Well, Krishna has created Sukritis and sanskars. I don't know why he had to do that. There's a question in the Jivadharma, somewhere between 15 and 17, because those are the chapters in relation to Jiva and Maya. And so the disciple is asking, couldn't Krishna have figured out a different way for the jiva than to make him suffer so much in this world? And actually, if you could find that for next time, that would be super. So the conclusion is that, one is that if a goldsmith is trying to make gold, then he has to put that gold ore, O-R-E, in the fire. And then another answer is that we're not really suffering. It's all illusory. It's all imaginary to scare us. Another thing is that there's two kinds of time, as you read about in the Swarup of the Jiva. Eternal time and linear time. Yeah, and so our conception of time is, when will this day ever end? Such a terrible thing happened today. Can I just end the day? When will the day end so I can go to sleep and it won't be so bad tomorrow? Don't we all go through that? So, yeah, there's different conceptions of time. Trividura?
I remember reading in Prabhupada's book,
Closer?
I remember reading in Prabhupada's books that Prabhupada said that that Krishna enjoys the process of helping the jiva advance in the material world.
Yeah, that's in the same place also. And that's in the same place also in Jaiva Dharma. So let's find that for tomorrow or next day, and then let's read it and get a clear understanding of that. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Narada Muni ki jai, Jiva Goswami ki jai, Baladev Vijibhusam Prabhu, Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Yeah, we also have to read Baladev Vijibhusam. It's very interesting. No, he's somebody else. He might be Gopinathacharya, who heard Mahaprabhu's explanation to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on the real meaning of Vedanta Sutra. So of course he's going to know it. Okay. Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitya Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari. Nitya Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari. Go Premanandi. Did you have an announcement? Announcement from our fearless